Today on Powerstroke Problems, we're going to be reinstalling this high pressure oil pump in this 2036 liter Powerstroke. So, as you can see, I have the old one removed, and the mating surfaces where the cover goes, which would be right here, is a mess. So what I'm going to do is take a little razor blade without scuffing this up, come across here, clean all this up with a little Scotch-Brite, and back here, right here, and right here, there's 2 globs of RTV silicone to help the rear cover seal the block. So when you go to reinstall the cover, you'll have to put more silicone there on each side to make sure it doesn't leak. But right now, I'm going to remove the old O-ring, clean this up, and then I'll bring it back. Alright, now that I got the cover, well, high pressure oil pump cover mounting surface cleaned up a little bit, you can see that there's not a bunch of crap on there. And little black marks like this is fine. As long as you can't catch your fingernail on anything, then you got it cleaned up on it. Like I said, some brake clean, some Scotch-Brite, nothing crazy. And then back here, where the rear cover meets the block, you'll see a little black mark on both sides. And that's the rear cover gasket. That's fine. That means you clean it off good. Then you'll put a dab of silicone here, and you'll put a dab of silicone over there. I just wanted to show you with a pick. Now, I do not suggest doing this with one hand, because you do not want to drop anything inside the motor. But, take a pick. This one can be stubborn, because it's heated and cooled and heated and cooled, and they don't want to come out sometimes. But try and wrap it around. Of course, I didn't think of that whole thing. So, come in here, behind it, try and wrap around it, then just pull up without dropping it. Work it around it. It's tough with one hand, but and there we go. So, now we have it right here. That's one O-ring. But if you take this, fold this up and over, then you get the yellow O-ring in the block. Same thing, you want to be careful, don't drop it. Pull that out. So now I get the new high pressure oil pump with the new O-ring put in here. Make sure you don't drop it. The oil will help it kind of stay there, so the oil will kind of help keep it there. And then once I get the new one in, I will bring you back. Now I just wanted to show you why I had it in here. Now I got the new O-ring on the J-tube, and then the pickup O-ring for the pump. I just kind of run my finger around it once it's in the hole, and then you can feel that it's evenly in all the way around, and that way you know that the O-ring's in all the way. Because it would suck if you didn't put this in all the way, and you gotta put this all back together to figure out that that's leaking. So now that I got the high pressure oil pump in there, it's got 2 dowels, one in this bolt hole, one on that bolt hole. Make sure that this seat's down flat and flush, and if you have any issues with it doing that, you can move this gear a little bit, and that might get you lined up. And once you fully have this installed, these hold down bolts should be torqued to 18 foot-pounds. You should be able to, I don't know if you can see it on camera, but there's a little play in that gear, so that tells me that those gears, the one down there and this one, mesh together good, because it's moving a little bit. If this thing seems to be binding up bad, if this doesn't want to sit down right, don't force it down with the bolts. You will break the pump or you will break the gear, one of the two. Now, there's an O-ring that goes here, and then this will just slide over. You can put your 2 bolts back in, tighten that down, and then I'll bring it back once we get the right stuff on the two little edges there on the cover, and then get the cover installed with the new O-ring in the cover. So now that I've got the J-tube on, the new O-ring on the top, the bolts tightened down, you'll see two little daubs of silicone on the back on the cover where it meets the block. And then I always like to put grease on the O-ring right here, so when you go to put the high pressure oil pump on, it sits down there nice and flat. Alrighty, now I got the new intake gaskets in there, the new front cover, coolant donut, and I cleaned up the intake. Now, I do not suggest using a whiz wheel like I did. I do this a lot. I know how to clean up aluminum with it. I suggest just using Scotch-Brite and a little bit of brake clean. It's a little tedious, but takes some time. And this one isn't too bad, but sometimes these will be full of soot when they have EGRs on them. Do not touch the soot unless you are going to clean out the whole intake. If you start touching it, then it all starts to fall apart and it'll go into your motor. So now that I have the new intake gaskets in here, these sit in and they have these little dimples on them right here. These stick up and out just like that. So when you put the intake will actually go right here and sit right in that. So once I get the intake in here, then I'll show you how the intake gaskets line up. So now that I got the intake in here, you can see where those actually fit right into the side of the intake. This one's a little tougher to see because of the EGR, but it's right there. So now, I'm going to start by putting in one of these bolts. We always work from the back of the intake forward with the bolts. Same with tightening from the back forward. So once I get all the bolts in, get the intake tight, and then we'll bring in for the next step. So now that I got the intake in, and I've tightened it from the back to the front, because that'll crush your O-ring in here for your front cover for the coolant. We can take the light, and you can see that our O-ring is still in there, and that now the intake lines up with the fan shroud, the fuel line, and the fan shroud over here. So now I'm going to reinstall the oil filter housing and fuel filter housing and the turbo pedestal, and then we'll go from there. Alright, now I got the turbocharger, the alternator, the intercooler piping, and the intake back in. So now what you're going to want to do is hook your batteries back up. I have a jump pack on one side. I have my battery charger on the other side. And this truck's probably going to crank for a good 15 to even maybe 30 seconds or a minute before it'll start. You're going to bleed all the air out of the high pressure oil system. If you have a scan tool, you can go on there and watch ICP pressure. Or if you don't, you're just going to have to crank it for a bit until it starts. And then once it starts, let it run for a second. Shut it off, recheck your oil, and then start it again. And you'll have to take it on a good ride, run it through its paces, bleed the air out of the oil system, and after you drive it once or twice, it should start like normal again and not have a long crank. And that's how you remove and install your high pressure oil pump.